One of the biggest barriers facing people with disabilities is finding accessible and affordable housing solutions that meet their individual needs. Waitlists can last for years, and people can endure unsafe situations in the meantime. An estimated 1 in 10 Canadians live with some form of disability, and with the aging population, we know this number is growing. Yet there's no clear data on accessible housing stock in Canada. The last time the federal government did a survey, it was 2017. On this episode of Underestimated, presented by Oatley Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers and brought to you by Spinal Cord Injury Ontario, we are tackling the topic of accessible housing. I visit Terry Crossley in London to see how he and his family are making a one-bedroom walk-up work while he waits on the list for rent-geared-to-income accessible housing. Oda visits with Luke Anderson, the co-founder and co-chair of the Accelerating Accessibility Coalition. They discuss issues with accessible housing in Canada and specifically Ontario's accessible housing standards. And I visit with Michael Ciganovic and Maria Moniz in Hamilton to learn about their experience finding affordable and accessible rental housing after Mike's injury 5 years ago.
Here you go, come on up. My name's Terry Crossley. I've been a truck driver for over 30 years. I have a 14-year-old son that I share custody with, 50-50 time. That's awesome. I recently, last year I guess, had spinal surgery for spinal stenosis. And it's had a drastic effect on my life that was not planned. So it's brought up all kinds of difficulties that I could not foresee coming my way. After the initial surgery, everything went well, and then I had a setback where I got an infection in my spine, and that set me back weeks, possibly a month. Then I got a blood clot from treating the infection, and it reduced how well I had recuperated. And I knew that I wasn't going to be able to go up the stairs. Where I was living had a really steep, narrow set of stairs, and I knew there was no way I was going to be able to live there again. So that started the search for a better, accessible place to live. I ended up moving in with my fiance later on after we exhausted all other options. While I was in the hospital, the social worker and Hannah from SCIO, they would send me listings, so I would set up an appointment time and go look at an apartment. We even got to the point out of desperation looking at renting a room with a total stranger just to get out of the hospital. And even renting a room was between $700 and $1,000. It was really eye-opening. And when you're on a very limited budget, like I get $1,782 a month for everything, and there's no extras. It's really difficult. It's such a helpless feeling, and there's no help. They have no budget for any kind of rent top-up or subsidy, nothing. I've been on the waiting list. The waiting list for geared-to-income housing is years, like literally years. Then they can't even give you an estimate. They just can't. The program that I applied for was the COB program, so they'll take a percentage. I'm not sure what the percentage is, but they'll take a percentage and give you so much towards an apartment. So say you got a place, now this is just rough numbers, if you got a place for $1,500, they might give you $1,000 or $900, and then you'd be responsible for the rest. So, I mean, you can't find a place for $500. Like, it's a horrible situation to be in. The frustrating part is it's nothing that I did. It was out of my control. It's not a mistake I made. It's not, I don't like handouts, but it's very disheartening that there's no help, none. You can make anything work if you try hard enough, but being accessible is would make a huge difference. Yeah. So there's a set of stairs in the apartment now, and I have to get up those with my walker, or I have arm crutches as well. So if my fiance is with me, she'll take my walker down for me. I limp my way down the stairs and off we go. But if I'm by myself, if I am out and I get things, I can't even bring anything in the house because I have to get my walker and me up the stairs. Inside the house, everything is cramped because my walker, I get around with my walker. If I use my arm crutches, again, if I go to get a drink, I can't carry the drink. I use my walker, but then I'm banging into all the corners, and in the kitchen, there's only one spot that I can fit my walker. Thankfully, it's in front of the sink, so I can still do dishes. So it's difficult. The bathroom, I have to get to the door with my walker, my crutches, and then use the sink and the door handle as supports to get in and use the washroom. And then I have a shower bench for the shower, and it's all really small. It's not a very good situation. The big supports have been the social worker at Parkwood and the SCIO program. That's been the two best things that have helped. Anything I need, different things. I was able to get a scooter to use when I go out and about. Now again, it's not stored here because we can't get it up the stairs. So there's been various programs that are a help. Like, it's just the big thing is that housing, and it's something that you deal with every day. Like on a bad day when my balance is off or I'm in extra pain, just going down the stairs by myself is enough to discourage me from going out at all. Wait, maybe I'll try tomorrow. I'm not up to the stairs today. I've had some great support from friends that have stayed in touch with me, and a few of my truck driver friends have stayed in touch, and they check on me and help out with anything they can. So that part has been good. I have limited family, so but Jackson's been a big help, and Jackson's mom, we get along great, so she's helped with Jackson anytime I needed to. And if it wasn't for my fiance Gail, I would be lost. She's like an angel. But it's hard on her. It's all part of it. It's hard on her. If we could find an accessible place that we could comfortably live in, it would make all the difference in our relationship, in everything. The burden would be off her, and I could get back to being a little more normal. A friend of mine taught me something years ago, and it was break your day down to whatever increments you have to do to get through it. If you're having a bad day, what do I got to do for the next 5 minutes? And just worry about that 5 minutes. Don't think of nothing else. And then what do I do to get through the next hour? And before long, the day's gone. But that's a long day. It's hard to get through that, but it gets you there. Other than that, I would say lean on friends. Lean on friends and family that you do have. And it takes some understanding. There's going to be hurt feelings, and there's going to be feelings of being overburdened. And it's just natural. Nobody's being mean to you. It's a heavy load to carry, being disabled. And your friends and family feel it too. So I'd just say keep your head up, I guess, the best you can.
Oatley-Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers are proud sponsors of Underestimated. If you need a personal injury lawyer, we can help. For more information, please visit oatleywigman.com.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
Public transit, garbage pickup, parks and recreation programs, snow removal on your street. How can you stay informed about these and other important local services? Tune to City Council coverage on Rogers TV. See your community leaders at work on Rogers TV City Council coverage.
An accessible home to me feels like I don't have to park in one spot. If you can imagine, I'm sure you've had this experience where you've been to a house party and moving around a space is limited. Options for roaming around a home that's not well set up for someone that uses a wheelchair can bring up feelings of like claustrophobia. So current building code requires 15% of units in a multi-unit building to be, air quotes, barrier-free. So what barrier-free means would not meet your needs or my needs for, accessing the bathroom, for example. So having a stepless entry into a shower space is not part of what the Ontario Building Code deems barrier-free.
And it's not even mandated for the balcony to be step-free, right?
It's not, no. So a barrier-free unit will not have a step-free balcony access. I've never been on my balcony before. So to be able to access a balcony space in a condo is liberating. Yeah, we really need to go above and beyond what the building code asks, because it's sub minimal. It's not even, to me, minimal. It's sub minimal.
Can you tell me a little bit more about how you got involved in Stopgap and the Accessibility Coalition?
Yeah, well, Stopgap, I think my journey with the organization began when I sustained my spinal cord injury back in 2002. And the way that I like to describe that event is I was all of a sudden introduced to a world that's really not well suited for someone that uses a mobility aid. So over time, I think I became more and more frustrated with not being able to access space. And over time, I realized that I was having conversations and recognizing similarities in the frustration among different groups of people pushing strollers, the elderly, people by occupation, couriers bringing packages via carts into spaces. All of these different groups of people were also experiencing challenges, not being able to access space easily. So I wanted to move that energy from a frustrated place into a place of action.
Yeah, closing the gap between accessibility and the need is great, and Stopgap does a good job of doing that. Can you tell me a little bit more about your work with the Disability Coalition?
Yeah, the Accelerating Accessibility Coalition was first formed in 2022 with an intention to raise awareness and provide education around the need for more accessible housing. There's a huge shortage of housing that's not only affordable, but is accessible as well. And we really want to bring developers into a discussion where they become more aware about the lived experience of people with disabilities and really start a collective understanding of the different sectors, the community organizations that are out there that support people with disabilities, and the developers that build housing all across the GTA and ultimately beyond. We want to extend our work to neighborhoods and communities all over the country.
What challenges have you faced so far?
Yeah, there's three things that we've discovered in our work so far. There's really a lack of understanding about the lived experiences of people with disabilities amongst this development sector. There's also a lot of voluntary standards that exist out there that provide direction that goes above and beyond building code. That's great. However, as a designer, we're finding that it's challenging navigating those different voluntary standards, like what specifications to choose from a list of different options. And we're also getting a better understanding of the myths and misconceptions out there amongst the development sector. There's this myth that building accessibility into a project is more expensive. That's true if there's a retrofit happening or there's renovations to an existing space. Yeah, there's extra costs for sure. But building in accessibility from the beginning, in the design phase, does not amount to any extra costs, negligible. There was a recent study in the US that brought up this number. 95% of spaces are not, residential spaces are not accessible for people with physical disabilities. And I think that is a number that mirrors our experience here. Whether it be a stepped entryway at a retail space in a neighborhood or a stepped entryway at a home, that sends a message to me that says I don't belong. And it comes with a feeling of frustration and anger, confusion, embarrassment. All of these feelings result from an interaction with a built form that says I don't belong. The opposite of that is being able to access a space on my own terms with independence and spontaneity and a feeling of safety and comfort and having my needs met. And there's a term actually that describes that feeling. It's called access intimacy. And I love that we have a term that we can use to help describe what it feels like to be in a space that meets our needs. We've got, I think, 1.5 million new homes on the slate to be built rapidly. So there's this tension for building homes quickly and making sure that the people involved in getting those homes built will do so with accessibility in mind. And as you know, it's hard work to raise awareness and bring a collective understanding about the importance of accessibility to a place where developers start to move away from the standard ways that they've been building homes for years and years and years. So we're gonna find ourselves with this tension between needing to build homes quickly and needing to change the way that we're thinking about how homes are built. And that's what drives me to do the work that I do. My hope for accessible housing in the future is that I can access homes as I please, or as I'm invited to other people's homes. I'm able to access those homes in a way that I feel supported and safe and comfortable, and I can do so on my own terms. That's the vision that I hold. It's a long game in order to get there, but I certainly want to affect change with the new homes that are going to be built all over our country in the next 10 years to help alleviate our housing crisis, to make sure that we're adding accessible housing to the housing stock that's going to be created over the next decade.
Oatley Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers are proud sponsors of Underestimated. If you need a personal injury lawyer, we can help. For more information, please visit oatleyvigman.com.
Where's you?
With Rogers TV, you can cheer on the home team from the comfort of your living room. We'll head to the rink, the field, the court, or the pitch, so you don't have to. Tune in and cheer on your local amateur athletes on Rogers TV.
My name is Maria Moniz.
My name is Michael Ciganovic. Me and my wife, we've been together since 2007. Yeah, it happened in 2019. It was a massive aortic dissection, type 1. It was on January 6th at 3 a.m. in the morning, and it was like someone pulling my spine out of my back, and I couldn't move. Thank God my wife was home, or else she probably would have found me dead at home. So the ambulance came, rushed me to the hospital. I had an hour to live. Doctors told me that I would have complications, and they asked my wife, what do you want to do? And they said, save his life. So, and this was the outcome of it, me being paralyzed. Blood got to my spine, and that's the outcome.
We were living in an apartment building, and the apartment building was super tiny, 1 bedroom, and we had to move. Like, there was no question. At that point, we didn't know if Michael would be able to be in that apartment because he wasn't able to have home visits at that time. So what ended up happening was they allowed him, when he got to St. Peter's, to come home for the first time. And when he came home, it was a no-go. It was a no-go. But yeah, and then we got into this place here. When the landlords found us, we didn't find them, they found us. And she wrote me, and I think I still have the message from her. And she wrote me and she goes, it's a very small home, but she goes, I think it will be pretty good for your situation because we're in the process of renovating because of the previous tenants that were here. The must-haves were the entryways obviously needed to be wider. He needed a way to get into the house. If it was a 1-floor home, basically a bungalow, it would have been no problem. No ramp or anything would have been necessary. He would have just got in with a simple little ramp coming into the house. So once again, I was on the hunt for porch lifts on Kijiji, and I found this one. It was only used for a year, probably a handful of times, and he was actually selling it for $2,600. These things go for about $8,000-9,000. So we got lucky. My brother was a godsend because he's the one who made the slab at the bottom. He's the one who went to pick this up, which is quite heavy. He had a couple of people. But yeah, he did it all. He set it up, and that was that.
A porch lift is good in the warm seasons, you know, from like spring till, I would say, early winter. But after that, it's really, it's not good. I've been stuck in a snowstorm. Just to heat the motor up, my wife has to go grab the hair dryer to heat up the motor so I can get back up. Yeah, it's quite comical, but also not comical. Face it, I'm getting older. You know, I'm not going to be able to do gymnastic moves much to get into the bathtub. You know, same thing with the kitchen. You know, I can't help my old wife out. You know, I try to do dishes from the side like that, and then after I'm all sore. I'm in pain, and so those are not feasible now.
In the beginning, it was great. You know, like it was fresh. You know, like. Obviously, he wasn't able to do very much when he came home, so we didn't know any of this, right? And then as the years went on, as the months went on, and a couple of years went by, we're like, okay, he's able to do a lot more, but he's not able to do all that because he's not... First of all, he can't do the dishes because his back is going to kill him. He already has the back issues. He can't cook and chop from the side. It's hard. So it's like, you know what, I don't want you doing any of it because I don't want you to feel sore more than you already are, so just leave it alone, I'll do it. But he does try to help, but it can be difficult sometimes.
In the beginning, it was okay. It was okay. Our rent was $18.50.
Yeah.
And so that was okay. But now 5 years later, the rent's gone up to $2,200. That's a big jump. And then with all the other things going up, groceries, and so yeah, it's a big impact. And like, you know, like I said before, that this is gonna put us somewhere we don't want to be, you know, because if things keep going up, and let's say if the landlord puts the rent up again, I don't know what's gonna happen. We've been on the housing list since 2021, so it's already been 3 years, and I call them, I give them updates on what's going on, and we're just waiting to get a response from Access to Housing. I would say if anyone that gets into an injury like myself, being paralyzed, you get on the ball right away. Mm-hmm. Don't wait, because you're just going to be waiting that much more longer.
Thank you for watching this episode of Underestimated, presented by Oatley Vigman Personal Injury Lawyers and brought to you by Spinal Cord Injury Ontario. Thank you to our guests for sharing their experience and expertise. The federal government is investing $82 billion into building more homes in Canada. The Ontario government is investing more than $5.75 billion into housing. And yet, with almost $100 billion invested, there's no guarantee of accessible housing. That's why SCIO is partnering with like-minded organizations to come together and build a sustainable long-term strategy. To learn more, visit sciontario.org, and to catch past episodes of Underestimated and view more video content from our team, visit coretree.com. I'm Tory Bowman, and we'll see you next time.